Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Tori and Kira? Part 5. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time let's get into the video. Naruto was down in the lair currently reading more info on special rangers. Though he found nothing new except the battlizer for the Red Rangers, which he found pretty badass. He came across notes about the Gold Zeo power and the original wielder, Trey. He read about the ritual transfer as it was tried on Billy, who was the former Mighty Morphin Blue, but sadly he absorbed too much negative energy when the command center was blowing up. That's when Jason stepped in and took the mantle of the Gold Ranger for a while until he started to become weak due his life force being drained by the gold power, so like Sensei said, the power was too much for Jason. He rubbed his eyes as he yawned, he looked at the clock and saw it was 10:30 p.m. He yawned as he thought it was time to head to bed. Kimberly came down and saw him look tired. "You should get some rest," she told him. He nods. "Yeah, I'm calling it in. Night sis," he said and left the lair. She was alone. "Okay Tommy, come on out." Soon enough the Black Ranger dropped his invisibility. "How do you always know where I am?" he chuckled. She slid her arms around his neck while he held her. The couple were staring at one another. "The sooner I can demerf the better," he said. Kimberly put her hand on his helmet as if she was touching his cheek. "Bad or worse, I'll always be by your side no matter what, just like I vowed," she told him with a smile that he always loved and would brighten his day. The two saw the table filled with notes and files. "I wonder what kind of research he was looking for," Tommy said. "I thought you would have known." Kimberly with a confused expression. "Well, he did ask the question about fusing ranger powers," Tommy recalled. "Fusing ranger powers? Where do you think that idea came from?" she asked. "My best guess must be from the Dragonzord power, since Naruto can use it, but I feel like there's more to this," Tommy said as he picked up the notes about the Gold Zeo. "Though I told him that it'd be too much power for him to handle." But, Kimberly smiled. "But I have a feeling that he will surprise us in some way like he always does." He chuckled. Kimberly nods. "Though I am kinda worried," she said. "About?" Tommy asked. "Tori and Kira," she said. "So you noticed too, huh?" he said. "With Kira at first, then with Tori, these two have strong feelings for Naruto," Kimberly said. Tommy sighs and nods. "I know. The only thing we can do is just to watch, make sure things don't go too far." The couple were startled as a bright golden orb appeared in front of them. The two got ready in their fighting stance. "Do be afraid, Tommy," the orb spoke with an echo-like voice. "Who are you?" the Black Dino Ranger asked as he kept his guard up but was confused of how it knew it was him and his name. "We met before, Tommy. Though I was in my full form when you were a Zeo Ranger." Tommy's eyes widened behind his helmet and looked at the color of the energy orb. "Trey," he said. "It's good to see you again, old friend," Trey said, "and to you as well, Kimberly." Kim smiled as she met Trey when the Ultimate Evil Alliance was invading Earth. "It's great to hear from you again, but why aren't you physically?" Tommy asked. "Being the leader of Triforia, I cannot leave my throne unless a dire situation. Not to be rude or anything, but I have a feeling this isn't just a social visit," Kim said respectively. "I'm afraid not, Kimberly. I had a premonition that Triforia could be in danger in the future as well as the rest of the universe," Trey said. "What do you mean?" Tommy asked. "The night before, I had a dream. A dream of a great evil being born, heartless, cold and emotionless. Should this evil not be stopped, the universe will be swallowed and suffer for eternity in darkness." Tommy and Kim have never heard of someone like this before, just by the sound of it. It would make the Ultimate Evil Alliance a joke. "I'm also afraid that even with the combine of all the Rangers, this being would still be too powerful," Trey said. This shocked both veterans as they didn't think that this or whoever it was would be able to defeat all the Rangers. "However, there is but one that can combat against this darkness." "Who?" Kim asked. "I do not know his true name, but he went by another. The Child of Prophecy." Trey's answer stunned both the couples as they knew one person who was called that. Naruto. They remembered about the story that he told them and of the prophecy that the Toad Sage spoke of before the war. They looked at one another. Tommy could see the worried look on Kim's face, and it was understandable. To her, Naruto was her little brother, whether blood or not, just like he is a little brother to him. Tommy nods and she sighed but nodded as well. "We think we know who that is," he spoke. Naruto was asleep in his bed but was shifting around. He was shaking and sweating. He grunted a little till he went into a deep sleep. "Dream?" He suddenly woke up in a white void and stood up on his feet as he looked all around to see nothing but a small pond that he walked up to. He looked at the water reflection of him. He stared at this for a minute until something dropped in which created a small wave and changed to a familiar green toad image. "Naruto-chan." An old green toad called out. Old Toad Fukasaku Naruto cried out in disbelief. We have been trying to reach out to you, but we had no luck. The green old toad said. How are you doing it now, how did you find me? He asked. The great toad sage had taught us a special jutsu to find our summoner through their dream, should they drift too far apart from us. So you knew I was alive? Naruto looked confused. Fukasaku nodded. At first we thought you were when your name darkened in the scroll of summoning indicating your death until we questioned Sasuke. Sasuke, what happened? Naruto asked as he was surprised about his former comrades still in the Element Nation. Sakura and Kakashi found him injured but alive. After Sakura healed him, he told them the whole battle that led between you and him in the final clash. From there he didn't remember much, but only seeing a glimpse of you vanishing in some kind of portal. I had a feeling that it happened, but because of that my chakra network is shredded. Kurama is my only chakra source, but even he has a limit. Might as well get comfy cause I got one hell of a story. Naruto began to tell Fukasaku his story of being a Dino Thunder Ranger and fighting against Mesagog. Fukasaku was intrigued by the young man's adventures but, Naruto, the world you are in will be in grave danger, much danger than just this Mesagog. Naruto raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? The great toad sage had a premonition that involved the prophecy. A great darkness shall emerge and swallow all until the child of prophecy is destroyed to begin a new era. Naruto was confused at this. What does this mean? What darkness could this be? He had so many questions to think about. He looked at Fukasaku. How do I stop it? He questioned. The great toad sage said 4 great powers must be one to aid the child of prophecy. Again this had set Naruto in a stump. He wasn't great in riddles, but just by the sounds of this, it's not going to be easy. He decided to change the subject. So how's everything after the war? Fukasaku smiled. You had done what Jiraiya had always been dreaming of. After your disappearance the Kages of the Kumo, Iwa and Kiri had all signed for an alliance, along with Konoha and Suna. Naruto smiled as he looked up and thought of Nagato, Jiraiya and his father. Hope I made you proud guys. He smiled. Everything started to turn bright and the pawns started to vanish slowly. What's happening? Naruto questioned. Looks like you're starting to wake up now. Fukasaku said. Tell everyone that I miss them and that I'm safe. Naruto spoke him as everything was engulfed in brightness. Naruto sat up from his bed and breathed heavily. He looked outside and saw the bright sun. He rubbed his eyes and threw the covers off him and went to the bathroom where he splashed water on his face to wake up and wiped it with a towel. That was no dream, was it? He asked his partner, who grunted. Nope, you really spoke to that old geezer of a toad. Kurama said. Do you have any idea about this darkness from what old toad Fukasaku spoke of? Naruto asked. I'm just as confused as you are, kid. All I can say is whatever or whoever this darkness is, we have to be extra careful and keep a watch out. Naruto nods. Yeah, I just hope this thing doesn't happen during our battle with Mesagog. He looked himself at the mirror. Mesagog's fortress. Zeltrax was in the lab as he was preparing for his work to finally be complete. Mesagog along with Elsa walked in. Master. He bowed. What have you found? Mesagog questioned. My lord, it seems that the energy has rejected everyone violently. However, I managed to find a solution. Go on. Mesagog said. The energy reacts normally to the Green Ranger's blood. What's more interesting is that a mixture of it with yours or mine creates a new kind of result, a great one. Prove this to me then, Zeltrax. Mesagog said. Zeltrax nodded as he went and punched the buttons in. 3 cylinders each containing the mixed blood, a portion of Dino energy and finally the Kyuubi chakra. The chamber had started to release smoke. A bright green light started to shine and a creepy laugh rang through the lab and soon enough the creation chamber exploded which released a green shockwave that knocked Elsa and Zeltrax down, but Mesagog put a force field around him to prevent that happening to him. Smoke filled the air until a figure slowly walked out and revealed itself. Elsa got up and shook her head. She saw who the figure was and was shocked. Zeltrax, on the other hand, who was on his feet, would have had a giant grin on his face. I present to you my lord, Psycho Green Ranger. Just as the previous Psycho Rangers, he wore the same black armor as they did. The second layer was a green color and the white parts were gold. The buckle was a cracked Dino Thunder symbol. His helmet was a mix with his Psycho and Dino Thunder. He had a curved blade like a dagger on his right hip. Mesagog stepped towards the ranger. Welcome, Psycho Ranger. The ranger didn't acknowledge the mutant dinosaur as he looked around the lab. Nice place you got here. He said while his back turned. Show some respect to your master, you worm. Elsa sneered. That was a mistake. The Psycho Ranger quickly pulled out his dagger and spun around and shot an energy blast that sent Elsa across the room and slamming into a wall. You got a mouth, I suggest you keep it shut or I'll just rip it off. Impressive. Mesagog commented at the small display of power from the Psycho Ranger. You're just who I need to destroy the Power Rangers. Did you say, Power Rangers? The Psycho Green Rangers questioned, but there was a tone of hatred. Yes, there are sworn enemies. Zeltrax said. No shit, Sherlock. The Psycho Ranger said to Zeltrax and turned to Mesagog. If you're having problems with these rangers, then all your lackeys must be weak. He mocked, which earned a growl from Zeltrax and a glare from Elsa. Oh yeah, try me. A camouflage figure stepped from the wall and revealed to be Trent, who was in his white ranger form. The Psycho Ranger took a step forward and vanished in a dark flash and appeared with his dagger inches away from Trent's heart. Just like I said. Weak. He said and withdrew the blade. When he turned around, Trent pulled out his sword and was about to slash, but something grabbed his arm and twisted it painfully, which got the White Ranger down to a knee. He turned to shockingly see another green Psycho Ranger. Now that wasn't very polite. The Clone Ranger mocked. Now then, tell me your little ranger problem. The Psycho Ranger said to Mesagog, who had a sinister grin. Naruto was currently doing his morning jog that he usually does when he wants to think. Things seem to have been quiet for the past week, which was unusual, but he can determine one thing. Mesagog has something big planned. One thing for sure, it wasn't going to be a piece of cake. Then there's the darkness that was coming after him, which he still has no clue to what or who it is. The red Mustang broke his thoughts as it drove next to him. The window rolled down to reveal his fellow Red Ranger. Hey man. Connor greeted. What's up? Naruto greeted. Heading to school. Man, you're lucky to stay at home while the rest of your team suffers from Randall. Connor groaned. Naruto laughed at this and shook his head. Well, Sensei said I can start going back tomorrow since I've cooled down. That's good. Speaking of cooling down, I haven't seen our ranger nemesis for a couple days at school. Connor told him. Naruto frowned. Mesagog hasn't attacked either. What do you make of this? I don't know, though I got a feeling Mesagog has something cooked in store for us. Connor said. Couldn't have said it better. You better get going, I'll see you later. Naruto said as he gave a fist bump. Later bro. Connor said and drove off. Once seeing his fellow ranger left, he decided to head back home. However, just before he could take a step, Triptoids and Zeltrax appeared in a purple flash from the portal. Naruto got into his fighting stance. Should have known you would be after me. This time, Green Ranger, it will be different. Zeltrax declared while pointing his sword. We'll just see. Naruto summoned his morpher and pressed the button. Dino Thunder power up. He changed to his Dino form and summoned his dragon sword that he held on his right hand, while his left had the dragon dagger that appeared along with his golden shield armor. Attack. Zeltrax commanded his men as they charged. Naruto saw them coming and jumped high in the air over them. They turned around to see him charging and started to swing both blades around as he was taking down many of the enemies. 3 Triptoids were attacking with their staff hooks all at the same time, but Naruto countered each one as he slashed one across the body, one vertical, and stabbed the last one. Doing the same as before, he channeled energy into his dragon sword and sent a green energy slash that clashed against a handful of the Triptoids that fell and exploded. He spun around with his blades and attacked everyone coming his ways. Jumping in the air, he came back down with his sword that sent a green shockwave that destroyed all the Triptoids. Standing up straight. Naruto countered Zeltrax's blade with his own. They battled out with their swords, though it was not long till Naruto started to take the lead as always and was now thrashing Zeltrax. He followed 2 slashes from both weapons and a spin kick that connected his chest and sent him flying. Does this remind you that you'll never win? Naruto told him. Then try me. A voice called out. Naruto turned around, but only to be blasted in the chest by a dark energy orb that knocked him down on his back. What the hell was that? He questioned. The laugh caught his attention and saw a figure stepping out the smoke and revealed to be what looked like a Psycho Ranger, which shocked him as he had remembered them from Tommy's diary, but from what he knows, there was no green Psycho Ranger. What stood the most was that he looked like a mix of his own Dino form. How? You're a Psycho Ranger. He grit out as he got back up, but only on a knee. Ding, 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 we have a winner here. The Psycho Ranger mocked. Naruto was on his feet and heard Zeltrax laughing, which he turned to who spoke. What do you think of my new friend, Green Ranger? I should thank you. Naruto looked confused. Thanks to your blood and a little of my own with your Dino energy and your mysterious power. I was able to create who you see before you. The Shinobi Ranger's eyes widened at this. He did remember the device he was stabbed with, but didn't think they would be able to actually possess a portion of Kurama's chakra. Watch a trash can. Let's get one thing straight, I ain't no one's creation, and I sure as hell ain't your friend. Psycho Ranger sneered at Zeltrax and looked at Naruto. Now then, why don't we get started? He said as he pulled out his curved blade dagger. Naruto put his swords away and gripped his dragon dagger. The two stared at one another, not making a slight move. This went on for about 30 seconds till they both vanished in a flash and clashed blades before vanishing again. This continued for a minute until Naruto got slashed 2 times before getting kicked in the chest, which knocked him away into the ground. Is that really all you got? I expect more from the so-called strongest ranger. Psycho mocked. Naruto was starting to hate this guy every second. He got back up and played the dragon dagger, which sent a dozen of green energy shuriken towards the psycho, who simply waved his hands and created a force field that redirected the attacks right back, which forced Naruto to dodge them as he rolled out the way. Regaining himself, he looked and saw nothing. Quickly spinning around, he blocked a slash from his counterpart with his own dagger, as the two were now locked in a clash, pushing one another back. They broke apart and exchanged blades once again. Green sparks danced around them as one or the other countered and attacked. This continued for a few minutes until they broke apart once again. This got frustrating for the Shinobi Ranger, as every attack he threw at the psycho was countered. It was like he knew every move that he made. Not bad. He heard from the psycho. Now we're talking. Is this some game to you? Naruto yelled. What can I say, this is entertaining. Psycho Green said with a smug tone. He put his dagger away and crossed his arms in X guard. Time to test this power. Naruto had a feeling that he needed to attack now. He flashed and appeared above him with his dagger. Unfortunately, he didn't even get close enough, as a large energy shockwave knocked him far away and landed back first. Naruto, this energy. Kurama growled. Naruto heard Kurama and sat up and was shocked that a blood-red and black aura surrounded him, but what stood the most was that he had spikes on his arms and legs, just like Super Dino mode. Looks like it worked, and man, don't I feel great. He laughed at this. Getting back to his feet and putting his dragon dagger away, Naruto did the same form. Super Dino mode. Golden spikes grew on the side of his legs and arms, as the dragon shield had the Dino symbol. Both again clashed with their spikes, making sparks fly around. Unfortunately, again Psycho Green had the advantage, as he got many attacks in. Naruto was struck in the face by a spike that sent him flying and landing hard. Come on, I know you're better than that. Naruto's opponent mocked. Hit, you gonna have to use some of my chakra, even with the power of the Dragonzord it won't be enough. Kurama told him. I didn't want to resort to this, Kurama, but you're right, if what Zeltrax said was true. Naruto told his partner. He got back to his feet with the visor on his helmet damaged. Kurama's chakra started to surround him. He wasted no time and vanished and appeared behind the psycho, who too vanished. Naruto looked around for any sign of Psycho Green, but all he got was Zeltrax, who was trying to attacking him by surprise, but it didn't work as Naruto destroyed his blade, which shocked him. This gave the ranger a chance and connected a right punch to the chest, which created a shockwave that sent Zeltrax flying and crashing. Out of nowhere, Psycho Green had appeared and grabbed Naruto's wrist. Mind if I take something from you? Naruto had then started to feel his energy draining. Quickly he tried to break the grasp, but as he struggled he started to grow weak. Naruto, stay with me. Kurama shouted to his partner as he saw he was losing consciousness. Naruto knew what to do, and even though he never ran away from a fight, this is the first time he has to since being a ranger. Looking at the psycho, he leaned his head back and gave a roar like Kurama that forced him to let go. He didn't expect a kick in the chest that sent him rolling across the ground. As Naruto was about to vanish, he was struck in the back, which sent him to the ground. He looked up and saw Trent. Going somewhere. He said. Back off, he's mine. Psycho Ranger said to Trent as he got back up. Not this time, I'm taking over now. Trent said with authority. He turned to Naruto, who managed to get on his feet, but suddenly he was hit by laser blasters by an arriving Tommy on his vehicle. He got off and ran to Naruto's side. Are you alright? He asked his student, but could tell just by the damage of his helmet. Yeah. Zeltrax had showed up with his minions. Naruto pointed at Green Psycho. Till he showed up. Tommy looked at the Psycho Green Ranger. He knows for sure there was no Psycho Green Ranger, even if there was, Andros would have known. More importantly, he took on some appearance of a Dino Thunder. Who are you? Tommy questioned. I'm Psycho Green, a much better and more powerful ranger than your pathetic Dino Green. Psycho said, which made Naruto angry, but Tommy placed a hand on his shoulder to calm down. So you must be Tommy Oliver, that's good, I'll finish both the teacher and student. He said. Tommy was in his stance with his brachio staff ready. Naruto had the dragon dagger with his summoned dragon sword ready at hand. Just as they were to clash. Hold on. Trent's voice caught their attention and saw him on his feet with his Drago sword. Green Ranger is mine. He used his super speed to charge at Naruto, but was blocked by Tommy. Not this time, Trent. The veteran ranger pushed Trent back as they broke apart and exchanged attacks with their weapons. Looks like it's just us again. Psycho, Green said. Both had charged at one another with their weapons at hand. Even with two weapons, Naruto couldn't land a strike as all his attacks were countered. Here's another neat trick. His dagger shot an energy like whip that wrapped around the shinobi. Suddenly Naruto felt millions of volts of electricity that made him cry out in pain. Ami heard his student scream and quickly kicked Trent away. He saw Naruto in trouble and ran to help, but unfortunately Zeltrax blocked him as he tried to attack with his broken sword. Looks like this is the end for you. Psycho Green laughed, but not for long as he was kicked in the chest by a figure which broke his concentration and the energy whip vanished. Naruto demurred and would have fell face first, but luckily the figure caught him. His world felt dizzy, but he was hanging on as Kurama tried to heal him. He saw who caught him and was shocked to see it was none other than Trey Aka the Golden Zeo Ranger. Are you alright? Trey asked, which Naruto nodded, but winced as he felt the damage he was taking. You are hurt, please go somewhere safe. Trey said. Naruto didn't argue with the man and went to hide away while Kurama was still healing him. Are you alright, Kurama? He asked his partner. I'll be alright, but these wounds won't heal quick enough due to that bastard of a Psycho. Kurama growled. Trey had his weapon staff ready, as did Psycho with his dagger. Let's see how you stack up against me. The Kyuubi aura surrounded the evil ranger. Trey for the first time tensed as he felt the evil chakra. They collided with their weapons. They began exchanging kicks and slashes with punches. When they clashed their weapons they pushed one another back, but Trey was losing. Psycho out of nowhere slammed his helmet against the Gold Zeo Rangers, which stunned him back and gave Psycho an advantage as he struck the Gold Ranger with his dagger that sent him to the ground. Trey rolled out the way to dodge an energy blast. He continued on as he kept moving. Quickly he shot out a lightning blast from his staff that struck the Psycho and was sent skidding but still on his feet. Ami was holding his own against the White Ranger, even with the age difference. He had lots of experience and recently started to train a lot more with Naruto, which helped him get back into more of his martial arts. He was able to disarm Trent from his weapon, to which he did the same, and now both were fighting hand to hand, but it was clearly obvious that Tommy was landing lots of hits. Ami saw Trey was holding his own against the Psycho Ranger, but could tell he needed help. Never take your eyes off your opponent. Trent said with his sword back in his grasp, but unfortunately he was struck by a laser blast. Ami was confused for a few seconds and looked to see Tori arriving in her Dino form as she drove on a custom Dino Thunder cycle that Cam made. As she got off she held in her right hand a beautiful custom-made ninjato sword, with the guard being the head shape of her Zord and the blade had a aqua steel color as the handle was pure silver. In her left hand she was a custom blaster that looked like the body to her Zord, with it also being a steel aqua color. Hope I'm not interrupting. She said. Not at all, I'm glad you're here. Tommy appreciated and was relieved that he had another backup. No problem, I tried to contact Naruto, but he never answered, so I knew something was wrong. She said. I still got a score to settle with this guy. Alright, but be careful. Tommy told her as he picked up his weapon and went to help Trey. Don't think I've forgotten you. Trent declared as he pointed his sword at her, to which she responded. And I'll make sure to pay you back. She spat and put her blaster away, leaving only with her custom ninjato. Trent charged forward and engaged with the Aqua Dino Ranger. Blades were exchanging as they hit against one another. However, Tori, having been training in the ways of ninja for years, was easily outmaneuvering his attacks or countering them. She used her whip that struck across his chest and sent him to the ground. He moved to avoid another hit. He fired a dozen laser arrows at her, however she shoo-shined out the way to avoid the blasts before appearing across from him. Looks like it's time to bust in my combo weapon. She said and silently thanked Cam. Moza blade and blaster combine. She tossed the sword in the air as the handle folded down, acting like a grip as the blade folded backwards. She pulled out her blaster as the ninjato headguard came back down and attached to her barrel. Berserker assault mode. She spun around and made a pose with her now weapon-like rifle and aimed at him, like the Dino blade blaster like Kendall's. What the? Trent was taken back by this. Locked on, fire. She gripped both the handles of the weapon and fired a barrage of laser blasts that damaged him. He soon collapsed. Payback is a bitch. Tori said. Both Trey and Tommy were still fighting off Psycho Green, who was just taking his time countering their every attack, though that proved to be his mistake as he was shot in the back, which sent him flying and fell, but quickly got up to a knee and saw Tori with her weapon. You're outnumbered. Tori said as Tommy and Trey were across from him with their weapons at full power. Psycho would have made a retort, but he looked at the energy around him flickering away. Looks like you all got lucky today, but mark my words, I'll be back. He vanished in a dark flash while a recovered Zeltrax and Trent vanished through Invisa portal. Once the enemies were gone, the Rangers all powered down except Tommy, of course. Tori quickly ran to Naruto, who came out and sat down on the grass. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just sore, but I'm alright. He said and looked at Tommy. It looks like we got a bigger problem, sensei. Dino Lair. Everyone including Kim, who was patching Naruto, was in the lab as he explained to them the situation of Psycho Green. Soon after, that's when you and Trey arrived. Naruto finished explaining. To say the least, this was very worrying. If the Psycho Ranger had indeed inherited the Dino Green and Kyuubi chakra power, then this guy could be in the league of Mesagog or worse. It seems my premonition is happening sooner than expected. Trey said to Tommy and looked at the Green Ranger. You indeed are the child of prophecy. He said, which made Naruto wide eyes at this as he was surprised. The Toads and Jiraiya were the only ones that knew his nickname. Wait, premonition? Child of prophecy? What's exactly going on? Tori asked. Yes, allow me to explain. Trey began to speak of his premonition of the great evil that would come and destroy the universe and every ranger that stood in its way. Lastly, the child of prophecy being the only hope to destroy this evil. Naruto remembered old Toad Fukasaku words from the great Toad Sage's premonition. If Psycho Green is indeed this darkness, then no question he must be taken care of first. Tori was shocked at all this, she never would have expected Naruto to be in this kind of situation. Taking all this in, Naruto spoke. I had a dream last night. He explained about Fukasaku speaking to him and about the Toad Sage's premonition, which shocked everyone. It's no coincidence that this is happening, I have a feeling that Psycho Green is that evil darkness. He stood up to his feet and walked away from the group and turned his back to them. If I'm right, then I'm the only one he'll be after. He clenched his fist hard, but his soft hand grabbed it. He looked and saw Tori, who gave a determined look while still holding his fist. Even still, I'm not backing down, I'll fight by your side no matter what. Naruto couldn't help but give a small smile at her. He sighed in his mind. I just hope the others will be ready. Cause just like Sensei said, this will get a lot harder. Mesagog Fortress. Excellent work, Psycho, even without the Rangers defeated, you have shown you are capable of handling them on your own. Mesagog said as he was in his throne with Elsa beside him holding a long black case. Psycho was standing with his arms crossed. Whatever. You need to learn to keep your White Ranger on a leash, it's because of him that Green Ranger is still alive, he couldn't even hold his own against that Aqua Ranger. Psycho, Green said. Do not worry, his time will be coming to an end soon. Mesagog hissed at the end. Now then, Elsa the weapon. He ordered her, to which she obeyed and approached the ranger and forcefully got on her knee and opened the case, which revealed a sword, but it was no ordinary one. This sword had a metal black handle, but the guard was the design of skulls with the blade being sharp on both sides, as it was designed to cut and stab, but more importantly, kill. This is known as the Shadow Sword, the sister to the Sword of Darkness that was once Rita Repulsa's. Mesagog explained. Psycho slowly traced the blade down to the grip and picked it up. He moved freely as he started to do fast sword strikes. He spun around and sent a shadow slash that sliced clean the lab table. He brought the blade closer to him as it pulsed with power, and he added his own, to which it glowed a blood red color. You'll be good as dead, Green Ranger. He laughed. Naruto was in the backyard currently doing katas with a dragon sword. He jumped and came down, slicing a log in half. It's been 2 days since the appearance of the Psycho Green Ranger. The team was informed of this, and least to say they were shocked and stressed. It was already bad enough they had to deal with Trent, but now with the Psycho thrown into the mix, things had become more complex. The good thing was the White Ranger has not been seen or heard of since the attack. He had been training non-stop since then, but that didn't mean he got away from homework. Kimberly would have Kira bring his work that he missed from school. Speaking of Kira, she has been checking on him more lately since he has been attacked more than once, which was why she was at this moment down in the lab with Kim helping Tommy go through stuff. He swung left, cutting through another log, and spun around with the blade as he cut down another. He roundhouse kicked another log and sliced it in half. Naruto stopped as he dropped his stance. He sighed. He dropped to the ground floor crossword and began to think about the prophecy that the Gold Zeo Ranger spoke of. Psycho Green will no doubt grow stronger, and it's a bonus that Mesagog will be aiding him. He heard someone walking and stood behind. He turned to see his yellow teammate, who gave a comforting smile. You okay? She asked. He sighed as he looked at the pond. Honestly, no. He said truthfully. It's just that I feel like everywhere I go, I feel a heavy burden on my shoulder. Mesagog being after the Dino Gem, Trent trying to destroy us. And now with this Psycho. He stood up and sighed. Hey. You're not doing it alone, remember. We're all in this together. Kira said as she walked closer to him. Remember what you and Dr. O had said to us. As long as we work together, no one can defeat us. She placed a hand on his shoulder. So don't think you're doing this alone, we're a team. After hearing that, it had eased Naruto. He put his hand over hers. Thanks, Kira. He looked at her and gave a smile, which she returned. A spark lit between the two as their hands didn't break contact. Then, taken by surprise, Kira grabs the back of his head and pulls him in. For a kiss. Naruto's eyes were wide as he didn't expect this. He didn't pull away and was unconsciously kissing back. This lasted for 10 seconds until both broke it off and seemed a little dazed. both realizing what they did and were flabbergasted. What did they just do? Kira listened before Naruto began to explain. No, I'm so sorry Kira wanted to explain, but both parties couldn't find any words to explain themselves. Luckily for him, Kim came by and told them that Tommy needed more help. They left but still were looking at one another. Mesagog's training room. The psycho jumped over a bunch of pteranodrons and punched one that sent it flying and spun around, slicing the head of the second one. He began an assault of kicks to every target that was coming at him. His sword glowed before he slashed the air, sending an energy wave that cut through half of the group. Zeltrax was watching while Elsa came in seeing this and stood by the cyborg. Master Mesagog is pleased with the Green Psycho Ranger's process. She said. Do I detect jealousy? Zeltrax mocked. Oh please, may I remind you that even you can't handle Psycho Green, let alone control him. Besides, if it wasn't for my plan, you would have been in front of Master Mesagog on your knees coming up with excuses for your failures. Elsa smirked when she saw his hand clenched. Can you take your love spat somewhere else? Called out Psycho said while not looking back as he stabbed into a pteranodrons that dropped dead. Elsa scowled and Zeltrax was going to say something, but Mesagog walked in. They bowed to the dinosaur mutant who watched as Psycho was finishing off the rest of the pteranodrons who fell and exploded. Well done. The shadow sword seems to fit you very well. Mesagog commented. He looked at his two bodyguards. You two, however, have failed me over and over again. He hissed close to Elsa who couldn't face him. With only Psycho Green being the closest one to destroy at least one of the rangers. Mesagog faced Zeltrax who also couldn't face his master. I have a task for you two that you will not fail, and if you do he leaves a threat in the air. What is it? Master Zeltrax asked. The White Ranger has become a nuisance for far too long. I want you both to find and take back what belongs to me. Mesagog says. Yes, master. Both had said and left. They'll fail, you know. Psycho told the mutant dinosaur. Yes, I know. But that is why you will finish the job and bring me back the Dino Gem. Mesagog said. HMPH, about time. I've been waiting too long to end the life of that punk. Psycho Green said as his sword reflected an image of him and it glowed with power. Dino Lair. Naruto and Kira had been helping Tommy sort out tons of paper. They had been quiet ever since what happened a little while ago. They knew though they would have to talk about it when they would be alone. Kira dropped a stack of files on the table close to Tommy who jumped a little. You know Dr. O for being married, you don't really keep organized, do you? Sorry guys, but I promise this shouldn't take as long. Tommy who was still in his ranger form. Naruto was going through stuff and found a picture of Tommy, Anton and some guy he had never seen before. Hey sensei, who's this? Tommy saw the photo closely as did Kira by Naruto. Oh, that was a friend of mine and Anton. His name was Trent Smith, we called him Smitty. What does he do? Kira asked. He was my partner during my time when I started to dig and study fossils. Kind of sad how it ended. We were up for the same job at Anton's industry, but I was chosen. After that, we never saw each other again. Tommy explained. So what happened to him? Asked Naruto while Kira was on the same boat of the question. He had worked for another company, unfortunately there was a freak accident and the lab had exploded, he was never seen again. Sorry to hear that Dr. O, Kira said. It's alright. All in the past now, you can throw that away, Naruto. Tommy told him, who shrugged and tossed it in the trash. Sensei, I have been meaning to ask you about something. Naruto said to Tommy who listened. What about? He asked. That day Psycho attacked me, Trent was not supposed to be there, what do you think Mesagog gonna do? Kira, although confused about her situation, wanted to know this as well. Tommy sighed. I think at this point, Mesagog doesn't need him anymore. He said, which surprised the two. Seeing the Psycho Green Ranger almost finish the job, no doubt Mesagog finds him very useful. I'm afraid that Trent only has little time before he's betrayed, which I think he knows, and it's why he has gone into hiding. But I know Mesagog won't stop until he captures him and gets the White Dino Gem back. Naruto thought of this, and even though he has problems with the White Ranger, he couldn't let that happen. He saw Kira's worried expression and placed a hand on her shoulder. It felt awkward considering the event that happened between them, but she gave a small smile. With Trent. Trent was sitting on a boulder as he watched a small tidal crashing into a bunch of other rocks. He knew that Mesagog would be wanting an explanation of his action. He didn't have to explain it though. Naruto Uzumaki was his to kill. The Green Dino Thunder Ranger had become a thorn to him for far too long. He had ruined many plans of his to destroy the Dino Thunder, but that will end. Today. He knew that Mesagog would send his two lackeys to come pick him up and frankly he didn't care, he'll take care of them too. Trent had come to the conclusion that his so-called father never did care for him, or he should say Anton now. Not like it matters anyways. After I finish Naruto and the Rangers off, I'm out of this town. Trent said and stood before jumping down, landing on his feet. If you are still alive. Zeltrax said as he, Elsa and many pteranodrons. Figures you two would show up. Trent sighed in boredom. This time, dear daddy won't be here to save you. Elsa pointed her sword. Prepare for your annihilation. Declared Zeltrax. Trent turned on his morpher. White Ranger power-up. He had morphed to his ranger form. Taking his Drago saber out, he charged at the pteranodrons. He began to slash every mutant dinosaur in his way. He dodged their sharp arms and retaliated with kicks that sent some crashing into others. He slashed off limbs of the pteranodrons and sent barrages of laser arrows that took a chunk of them out. Zeltrax and Elsa tried to fight him both at the same time, which wasn't a problem as he continuously countered their attacks. He trapped Elsa's arm in a lock that made her shout in pain, forcing to drop her weapon. Zeltrax attempted for a thrust, but Trent put Elsa in front of himself, forcing Zeltrax to stop as his blade was inches away from her throat. Taking the opportunity, he kicked Zeltrax away while he threw Elsa far and fell to the ground. Suddenly more pteranodrons had appeared surrounding the White Ranger, but something was different about them. They looked to have cyborg parts around them. 4 of them had their left sharp arms replaced with metal ones, and right ones had laser barrels for shooting. They wore red visors across their face. This didn't bother Trent as he thought a few changes won't mean nothing. This was until he saw someone he didn't expect but knew he would eventually have to face. There was a figure that was standing on the tall boulder. Psycho Green. He laughed. I know you two couldn't do this, but being beaten by just one ranger. Zeltrax and Elsa weren't pleased to see him, but why was here? Their boss expected you to fail, which is no surprise, so I'm here to clean up your mess. Psycho, Green said. He looked at Trent. You scared to come down? Trent taunted. Psycho chuckled. Funny, you honestly think you can actually defeat me? He paused before continuing. Tell you what, defeat my friends here and then we'll see where you stand. Oh, and a word of advice, these guys ain't your ordinary pteranodrons. I upgraded them thanks to the trash can and his technology. He refers to Zeltrax, who was angered by this. Won't make a difference. Trent said. Psycho Green. Pteranodrons and gentlemen. He called out as the pteranodrons grunted with anticipation. We thank you for waiting, and now let the games begin. The pteranodrons cried out in a frenzy. Psycho Green turned to Trent, who looked at him. Let's see how you can do, Whitey. Trent charged at the pteranodrons and began to attack them, but something was wrong. Some had managed to counter his attacks. He almost got slashed by one, but he kicked it away. He saw one with a barrel that shot an energy blast which struck him, but he refused to get knocked down. He managed to destroy a couple pteranodrons while evading a few blasts from the others, but one had caught him off guard. It slashed him, which made him stumble back, but was again slashed, this time from behind. He was hit by another energy blast which this time knocked him on his back. He got up as he again evaded a couple of the enemies. Laser arrow, fire. Trent created dozens of energy arrows that he launched towards the group. Suddenly the ones with barrels had actually absorbed the attacks. Psycho laughed at this, gaining the White Ranger's attention. Told you, didn't I? Trent, holding his Drago sword, spoke. Then I'll just finish them quickly. He quickly used his super speed to finish the elite pteranodrons, but just as he was about to slash one's head off, it blocked the sword. Trent was shocked. Those visors they have aren't just for appearance, they actually can keep track of your super speed, but my favorite part, Psycho Green said. The red visors had glowed, which made Trent's eye wide behind his helmet. He was then blasted by a large beam that sent him crashing into huge stones that shattered. Trent's suit had smoked coming off it as he barely managed to get back to his feet while holding to his Drago saber. Looks like this game has almost come to an end. Psycho Ranger laughed in a dark tone. Dino Lair. The alarm went off as a sign that there was trouble. Tommy got on the computer and looked to find the problem on the monitor, which had shown the cyber pteranodrons. Those don't look like no ordinary pteranodrons. Kira said. Tommy's eyes narrowed and typed in a few things that beepized and scanned them. It came back showing him the data and knew this was bad. Not good. You're right about that, Kira, these are no ordinary pteranodrons. Looks like Zeltrax's work. Naruto said, but saw something that made his blood boil. Psycho Green. His fist clenched in anger. The monitor then showed Trent, who was continuing to fight, but the numbers were catching up to him, plus with them now upgraded, he would stand no chance of winning, let alone escape. I know how you both feel, but we can't let Mesagog get the Dino Gem. Tommy said. Naruto looked at Kira, who looked at him back. He nodded as he would keep that promise. Let's hurry. He said. She nodded. I'll contact Ethan and Connor and we'll meet you, be careful, we don't know what these new pteranodrons can do. Tommy warning them of the new dinosaur mutants. Ready? He asked her. Ready? Kira said. Dino Thunder power up. They both exclaimed as they pushed their button and had morphed. They exited out of the lair riding their cycles and headed to Trent's location. Back with Trent. Trent had rolled across the ground as he was struck by another energy blast that connected his helmet, his visor was cracked, and armor had some chipping. He was panting hard as he could feel his power almost drained. "I guess this is where I say game over." Psycho mocked. Trent grew angry at this, but before he could do anything he heard vehicles and knew who it was. Both green and yellow cycles were seen. Laser blast. They fired lasers at the cyber pteranodrons, taking them out. "I wondered when you would show up soon." "Psycho," Green said. "Well, I'm here now." Naruto automatically summoned his dragon sword. He made 3 shadow clones that were made from Kurama chakra, which would make them last longer and take more damage. He looked at Kira. "I'll deal with him, my clones will help you against them until the guys get here." Kira was uncertain about this, but eventually agreed and split up. Naruto charged at the cyber pteranodrons while they did the same. He suddenly vanished in a green flash. Psycho Green turned around and blocked an attack with his shadow sword and was knocked off the boulder but landed on his feet. Naruto came down again with his sword that clashed with the Psycho Greens. Their weapons pushed against one another with both men not backing down. "I see you've improved," Psycho said. "You ain't seen nothing yet," Naruto said and tried to take him off guard as he summoned his dragon dagger, but it was blocked by the Psycho dagger. They broke apart and attacked with their blades clashing against one another. Naruto had faked a low kick that Psycho fell for, and a front kick connected his chest that made him stumble back. Not finished yet, he charged forward and jumped, connecting 2 kicks again to the chest. Psycho Green regained his footing and looked at Naruto. "Alright then, maybe you have improved a little more than I thought." Green Psycho brushed his chest. "Guess playtime is over." His dagger and shadow sword had glowed dark green. Naruto's sword and his dragon dagger glowed green. He took a step forward and was about to resume his battle, but he sensed someone behind him and turned to block a saber from none other than the White Ranger. "What are you doing? Can't you see I'm trying to help you?" "I'd rather see you dead." Trent shouted and battled Naruto, who was blocking his attacks. He locked a grip around his wrist, preventing him attacking again. He was kneed hard in the stomach, making the White Ranger gasp and step back holding his body. He had taken Naruto's blaster, which he used the Thundermax saber. Quickly turning around, he blocked a slash from the Psycho Green sword and retaliated with slashes from both his weapon. Trent came back as he got into the scramble, as one of the others blocked and retaliated. Naruto blocked both Trent's and Psycho Green's sword, while Trent blocked Psycho Green's dagger with the Thunder Saber. The 3 had fought for domination. Psycho Green pushed Trent's saber and slashed him, breaking his lock against Naruto, who turned to block but was struck by the dagger, making him stumble and hold his arm, and saw a tear in his suit and blood running down. He looked at the dagger and could see the Kyuubi chakra around the blade. "Be careful, Naruto, remember this chakra is not like mine as of now, you know the damage it can cause back then," Kurama warned him. Naruto nodded as his arm was healed and was ready to join back in the fight as Psycho Green battled Trent. Kira and Naruto shadow clones were having a tough time dealing with the new pteranodrons, but they didn't give up. Naruto had landed a flying knee to the chest of one. Kira jumped off his shoulder and came down with an elbow, smashing the cranium of another like an eggshell. An elite pteranodron fired a beam from its visor, but a clone took the attack and popped as the beam kept coming, but Naruto grabbed Kira bridal style and vanished just as the beam destroyed a couple of their enemies. He appeared back with Kira and set her down. They both got their signature weapon out and were about to battle again, but laser blasts took more of the enemies out. The 2 saw the guys along with Tori arriving. Stopping their rides, they got off and went over to them. "You alright?" Tommy asked. "We're fine, now that you guys are here," Kira said. "Where's Naruto?" Tori asked as she knew it was a shadow clone when she sensed the chakra split. "Boss is fighting Psycho Green and probably Trent," the shadow clone said. I himself. Tori was pissed off at this and looked at Kira. "And you let him? You think I wanted him to?" Kira's eyes behind her helmet narrowed at the accusation. "Enough. We're in the middle of a situation." Tommy broke their arguments. "Look out," Ethan called out, and everyone ducked as an energy beam missed them and destroyed a tree. They got back up. "Naruto, Connor, Ethan with me. Naruto, Kira, Tori. Stick close to each other." Tommy charged with the guys plus clones, followed while fighting back the pteranodrons. Naruto's clone had connected body kicks and ducked under a metal sharp arm, where he then retaliated with a spinning roundhouse, which he continued to do to others before he did a 360 twist in the air and connected another kick that snapped the head of the 2 pteranodrons. Kira and Tori dodged each of the pteranodrons and threw kicks and punches. Kira blocked an arm and threw a Muay Thai kick to the body of one, to another to the head. 2 came charging at the same time, but she charged and took a move out of Naruto's book and drop-kicked both in the chest that sent them tumbling. She caught herself with her hands and kipped up back to her feet. Tori was ducking and flipping over the enemy's attack. She roundhouse kicked one and had done a spinning back kick that sent another pteranodon back. She brought out her whip and started to strike at each of them. Turning around, she sees another behind Kira's and whip it hard, sending the enemy flying back. Kira had seen this and looked at what the Aqua Ranger had done. She gave a small nod. Even though they might have conflict with each other, they wouldn't let that get in the way. Kira suddenly threw one of her Ptera grips towards Tori, who was taken back, but instead of hitting her, it flew by and stabbed into the chest of a pteranodon that was going for a sneak attack. Tori locked 3 pteranodons with her whip and took out her ninjato and lopped the enemies' heads off. She grabbed Kira's weapon and threw it back, which the Yellow Ranger caught in midair and came down to slice an enemy in half. Both had the same idea. Super Dino mode. Their suit had spikes and used them to deflect some attacks and retaliate. The guys were fighting the elite pteranodons, but they couldn't get many attacks on them due to their weapons. Naruto had backflipped away and jumped, landing next to his sensei along with Connor and Ethan. "Any ideas, anyone?" he asked Ethan. Suddenly a shock of lightning struck, knocking the enemies down. The guys looked and saw the Gold Zeo Ranger, who jumped down to join them. "You alright?" Trey asked. "Thanks, Trey, we can use the support. Seems Psycho Green has some new buddies," Tommy told him. "Let's turn it up. Super Dino mode," Clone Naruto shouted as his suit spiked up. They guys had got the idea and done the same thing. Naruto charged towards them and dodged energy attacks. He jumped at one and came down, slicing its energy barrel off, followed by dozens of slashes from his spikes, and finished it off with a spinning back the chest. He then flashes away to dodge an energy beam from another enemy who too was attacked, but the visor was destroyed by Tommy's brachio staff and slammed a back elbow which stabbed Spike into its chest. He took it out and backflipped with his foot, connecting the face of the pteranodon. Connor and Ethan had fought one together. Both would attack from front and back, Connor with his super speed with punches that were dodged, but Ethan with his Tricera shield rammed it against the back, sending the pteranodon forward, who was then stabbed by the Thundermax saber from Connor, who took it out, and both had kicked him into a tree. Old Zeo used his staff to deflect an energy beam back at the pteranodon, who absorbed it. Trey had then shot lightning from his staff, which again was absorbed, but this is what he expected, and charged while the attack was still continuing. He then extended his staff and destroyed the energy barrel. He twisted around with the staff and destroyed the visor. Finishing it. Trey had lifted up his staff and lighting was gathered from the sky into the weapon, which glowed gold. He had swung his staff, which shot gold lightning this time, and the pteranodon was destroyed. Naruto, Trent and Psycho Green crossed swords as they continued their battle. Naruto had redirect Trent's Thundermax saber to block the Psycho dagger and took a slash at his counterpart, while Trent did the same, sending Psycho Green flying and hitting a boulder. Trent and Naruto battled out as their blades collided against one another. Kicking the Thundermax saber out of Trent's hand, he returned the favor and did the same as the dragon sword was sent flying and stabbing it into the ground. Both exchanged attacks with their weapons, and neither were stopping till they locked against the other. "Do you really want to do this, Trent?" Naruto questioned. "Yeah, I do." Trent broke the struggle and then went for a downward slash, which Naruto dodged and locked in his arm. He slammed the dragon dagger across the chest and kicked him in the stomach, making the White Ranger stumble back. Naruto got into a stance with his dragon dagger. Trent charged with saber and again was exchanging attacks, but Naruto was landing most of the blows and blocking the attacks. He slammed the dagger against the throat, pushing Trent back, who spun the saber from his right to left hand and almost slashed Naruto, who backed away in time, and they again exchanged attacks, but he was connecting his slashes to the chest and back. Trent was getting sloppy and tried again for a downward slash, but Naruto caught his arm with his left hand. He then slammed the dagger down across the chest. Trent held his chest and stumbled back and fell. "It's over, Trent, just give up," Naruto said to Trent. The White Ranger was barely able to get back to his feet as his suit had smoke from the attacks. "You'll have to kill me if you got the guts," he taunted. Naruto grew frustrated. If he is able to knock out Trent, then he could bring him back to the lair and use the meteorite to reverse the effects of the Dino Gem. Suddenly, the blade had stabbed into the back of Trent. "Ah!" he screamed in pain. "I can do that." Psycho Green showed himself behind the Trent, who demorphed and fell to the ground. Naruto's eyes widened. "Nuo." He ran and took his dragon sword. He charged and was about to attack, but Elsa and Zeltrax appeared and blocked him before attacking him. Psycho Green ripped the Dino Gem out the bracelet and held it. He could feel the power coursing through him. Before he admired it more, he was kicked by Trey, who appeared with his staff at hand. "Hand over the gem," Trey said, as he knew what it was when Tommy had told him about its power. "Come and get it," Psycho Green taunted, which led Trey attacking first with his staff, but was blocked by the shadow sword and began an assault. Naruto had slashed Elsa across the chest and gave a hard roundhouse kick to Zeltrax, who was sent crashing into a tree. He put his sword away and quickly ran to Trent and knelt down. He saw blood on his hand as he sat him up. "Trent, you got to stay with me." Naruto tried to keep him awake. Trent muttered something. "What?" he asked. "I'm sorry for causing so much damage. To you, Connor, Ethan, Dr. Oliver, Kira, the gem was just too strong." Hey, don't talk like that, this wasn't your doing." Naruto felt a swell of guilt in his chest, knowing that Trent was just an innocent, honest guy that did not deserve this kind of fate, especially being controlled by a power that was supposed to be used to help and defend the innocents. "Naruto, there's something else your team must know." Anton is. Trent coughed up blood. Naruto winced at this. A flashback ran through his head when Neji was dying in his arms. Anton is who? Trent's face was pale, and the life in his eyes was fading away. He spoke Mesagog. Naruto's eyes widened at this. He never thought about this, but it made sense. He looked at him, and with that no more words were said as his eyes closed slowly. His breathing had stopped. Trent Fernandez was gone. Naruto had set him down slowly and looked at him. He was quiet. He just looked at the lifeless Trent. His anger began to build up, and he slowly stood up before leaving with raging fire in his eyes. He saw Trey being outmatched as he was on guard, but not for long as the shadow sword cut his hand arm, forcing the gold Zeo to drop his staff, which was kicked and was then struck by the psycho dagger, which had Kyuubi chakra. Trey rolled across the ground and was forced to demorph. Naruto caught the gold Zeo staff and suddenly felt a new kind of power coursing through his body. He crossed the dragon dagger and golden staff together and had a golden and green energy that slowly disappeared. Pteranodrons along with Zeltrax and Elsa surrounded. "You're in the way." His voice was cold as ice, which actually the first time made Zeltrax and Elsa uneasy. "Attack," Zeltrax ordered. "I warned you." Naruto swung the staff around him that sent out an energy wave, taking out most of the pteranodrons. He began to assault many of the other ones with his dagger and the gold staff together. He blocked a sword from Zeltrax with his dagger and shot a lightning bolt at Elsa, which knocked her hard into a boulder where she fell unconscious. Zeltrax was next as he was too hit by another lightning bolt. Naruto had built up energy in the staff and dagger. He jumped up and slammed both the dagger and staff down, sending a shockwave that knocked down and destroyed all the pteranodrons. He saw Psycho Green going for the kill, but he vanished and appeared in front of Trey, blocking Psycho's sword. With the staff he slammed it against him and sent the Psycho Ranger back. He didn't stop as he dashed forward and started an assault of strikes from his staff and dagger. Each strike held anger. He finished it off as he made a gold and green X energy slash from both weapons and sent it towards Psycho Green, who was hit hard and for the first time was injured. He got up to his feet. He could continue to battle, but he got what he needed. "Consider this your win for today, but next time you won't be so lucky." He vanished along with the pteranodrons and Zeltrax, who grabbed Elsa. Once seeing them gone, Naruto demorphed and helped up Trey while giving him his staff back. He turned back and walked towards Trent's body. His team, who were back in civilian form, found him, but to their shock, Trent was on the ground and Naruto had a grimace look. "Trent." Kira called out as she ran and was next to Naruto. Tears welled up as she can tell what's wrong. "I'm sorry, Kira, I'm so sorry," Naruto said as he couldn't face her. He had promised her he would help. He never went back on his promise, never. Kira looked at Naruto and could see his face had guilt, and so did his eyes. She hugged him and silently cried while he held her. He could feel slender arms around his waist and knew it was Tori who hugged his back. The guys looked at Trent and had nothing but sympathy for him. He was just someone young and innocent that just was caught in the middle between them and Mesagog. "I'll call the cops, Anton is gonna be devastated." Tommy sighed in sadness. Naruto growled in anger and shouted. "He's the reason that Trent's dead." This surprised and shocked everyone, but no more than Tommy. "Naruto, what do you mean?" Ethan had asked. Naruto took a deep breath to calm down and explained to the group what Trent last said to him and that Anton was Mesagog. Tommy just couldn't believe it. Someone he had known for many years has been his most deadly foe. But it had made sense of how Mesagog was sometimes a step ahead. "Everyone head back to the base, I'll meet you back there." Everyone winced as they heard Dr. O's voice sounded so betrayed. The guys didn't question this and had got back on their cycle with their ranger form taking off. "You girls go, I'll stay with sensei a bit," Naruto told them. They hesitated but complied and got on their cycles and headed back to the base. Naruto walked over to sensei and put a hand on his shoulder. He knew the feeling of betrayal. "Tommy." Naruto, the guys saw Trey walking to them. "Do not blame yourself for this. What has happened today is a tragedy and a great loss of an innocent person who would have been a good ranger. But you cannot let this overcome you both. You must stay strong, for your team and the world," Trey said. The guys had lots of thoughts running through their head, more likely their old life past. Naruto thought of how far he has come from the day he graduated the academy with Team 7, passing the bell test, the battle with Haku, and learning the meaning of being a true shinobi, the Chunin exams, retrieving Tsunade, retrieval Sasuke mission, fighting Sasuke at the Valley of the End. leaving Konoha to train with Jiraiya, returning home, rescuing Gaara, fighting the Akatsuki, using the Rasen Shuriken against Kakuzu, Jiraiya's death, learning Sage Mode at Mount Mayaboku, the battle with Pain, his confrontation with Sasuke, his battle with Kurama, and gaining control of his chakra, the Shinobi War, befriending Kurama, fighting Madara, Obito, Zetsu, and Kagaya. His final battle with Sasuke at the Valley of the End now as a Power Ranger with his new team and life. Tommy thought of the first time he met Kimberly, Rita turning him into the first evil Green Ranger, his old team and friends never giving up on him and breaking Rita's curse, joining the team, losing the Green Ranger power and leaving the team, returning and becoming the White Ranger, rescuing Kimberly from Boulder, and confessing his love to her which she had accepted. Being the Red Zeo Ranger, battling King Mondo, becoming the Red Turbo Ranger, passing the legacy down, marrying Kimberly, befriending Anton and Smitty, discovering the Dino Gem, escaping the island explosion. Now with a new team who had grown close to him just as him and his old teammates were to Zordon. As the guy stood silent, Trey extended his hand with his staff to Naruto, who was surprised by this. In order to stop Psycho Green, you must learn to harness both my gold and your Green Ranger powers. You were able to tap into it, but you still have a long journey ahead. My staff will help guide you, and the Dragon Dagger will also be a key role to your journey. Naruto had looked at the staff in silence and slowly extended his arm out and grabbed it. Lightning coursed through his body as did the gold energy which became visible around him until it faded away. He looked at the staff in his hand and looked at Trey. "What will you do?" he asked. "I must return to my planet," Trey said and put his hand on the shoulder of both Tommy and Naruto. "May you succeed and may the power protect you both." Trey stood back and pressed a button on his wrist and soon teleported. The guys heard the sirens and saw the ambulance followed by the police. Dino Lair. Everyone was back in the Dino Lair and nothing was said for a while. Naruto sat on some steps with Tori and Kira by his side, Connor leaned against the wall, Ethan was on a chair along with Tommy, Haley and Kimberly were by his side comforting him. Naruto was just looking at the staff and broke the silence. "I know all of us are shaken by what has happened today and what we discovered. But we can't let this stop us. Mesagog will no doubt know his secret is out, which means he will try harder to destroy us, Psycho Green too. That's why we got to train harder than we ever had before." "What about the White Dino Gem?" Connor asked. Naruto sighed. "Nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. I think everyone should go home for today and get some rest," Kimberly suggested. "Kimberly, right guys, go home and rest for today, we'll begin training tomorrow after you're off from school," Tommy said. The guys nodded as it was a good idea. Connor would take Ethan and the girls home, since he was the only one that brought his car. The girls gave Naruto one last hug before departing with the guys. When they made their way outside on the porch, Kira told the guys to wait in the car and that she needed to talk to Tori, who too needed to talk. The guys left the girls who did not say anything for a minute. Kira broke it. "Look, let's just get it out, we both know we love Naruto," she said bluntly, but she and Tori blushed at this. "And we can't force him to choose one of us, it's not fair to him." Tori had known for a while that Kira liked Naruto, who wouldn't like him? He was so much different from any ordinary guy. "So what do you suggest?" she asked the Terra Ranger. "Well, why not date him, both of us?" Kira said. Tori was shocked with this and never thought Kira would suggest something like that. Although she never protested against it. Could it work out? Will he love us equally? Many questions ran through her head till Kira spoke. "Here." She grabbed her hand and wrote her cell number. "Call me later, we'll talk more," Kira said. Tori looked at the number and sighed but nodded and they left for the car with the guys. Mesagog Lair. "Here's what you wanted." Psycho Green tossed the White Dino Gem to Mesagog, who caught it and examined it. "Excellent, with the White Dino Gem back in my possession, I will be a step closer to bringing it back. My era." Mesagog would have grinned in satisfaction. Psycho Green stared at the White Dino Gem, his visor had a reflection of it and a faint dark green glow surrounded him, but faded. Very soon. His plans were coming to action as step 1 was complete. Soon you and will come Green Ranger. Naruto was in the forest in a meditative state with his legs crossed and his eyes closed, the gold staff sat on his lap as he remained still. Silence hung in the air as nothing was heard except some of the birds. They had stopped chirping and looked for a minute just before flying away. Out of nowhere a pteranodon came down from behind. The shinobi's eyes snapped open, turning around blocking with the now extended staff, he struck the creature in the chest, sending it crashing to a tree. More pteranodons appeared as they started to attack him from all around, but he started to swing and twirl the staff around, striking each one that came his distance. He struck one to his right, then another from behind. Two came charging and he struck both in the body, but grabbed a hold of his weapon. Seeing two more pteranodrons coming straight at him, Naruto ducked under the staff and jumped as he turned his body around to deliver a mid-air back kick, knocking them back. Landing on his feet, he gave both creatures a strong backfist and took his weapon back. Using the staff as a leverage, he jumped and spun in the circle with kicks to many of the dinosaur creatures. One went for a slash but was hit in the body before being picked up and spun in the air, landing on more of its comrades. Naruto concentrated his energy to the staff which had glowed. Jumping up, he came down, which created a shockwave, knocking the creatures all down. Looking around and seeing all of them defeated, he sighed. Suddenly each of the pteranodrons vanished in a puff of smoke. Good idea of you, Kurama, for this training. Good thing my henge doesn't take much to do. Almost made me think I was facing the real ones. No problem, though we still didn't break even a peak of this gold power's true potential. From what Trey said, it wasn't gonna be easy, but still, if this can help me beat that Psycho Green, then I have to try harder, I have to try to dig deeper inside me. Naruto said. You have pulled the impossible off before, you can do it again. Kurama told him. He nodded. Yeah, but still. His communicator had beeped, breaking the conversation. He heard his sensei. Come in, Rangers, we got a situation. I need you in the city center right away. Got you, sensei, Naruto said. His morpher appeared and he pressed the button. Dino Thunder power up. He morphed into his Green Ranger form. Getting on his cycle, he took off in high speed. The team were together as they cycled into the city, where they saw some kind of jalapeno looking monster and chased it on foot. Alright, creep, we're taking you down. Connor proclaimed. Oh yeah, says who? The monster turned to the Rangers with a yellow pepper in hand. Here's some pepper for you. He threw it towards Kira, who easily deflected it right back with her thunder saber, which struck the monster, causing sparks, and was knocked back. I'm not supposed to have too much spicy food, thanks anyway. Kira joked. Then how about some seafood? The monster pulled out clams. This is what I call shell shark. He began throwing them with great speed, but Naruto deflected all of them with his saber. Now you're gonna pay for that. It grew angry. Tricera shield. Ethan brought out his blue Triceratops shield. That's exactly what I was waiting for. Copy. He brought his right arm up, showing some kind of device. A copy of Ethan's weapon appeared in his hand. What? Ethan is taken back by this. Did he? Questioned a shocked Kira. He did. Connor answered, but was shocked as well. He copied Ethan's weapon. Naruto felt deja vu all over again. The monster blasted Ethan, knocking him down to the pavement. Ethan. The team checked up on him as he sat up. You alright? Naruto asked and got a nod from the Blue Rangers, but he could tell the damage was there. The monster laughed. Now it's on. Kira got serious and summoned her Ptera grips along with Connor and his Tyranno staff. Wait, guys. Naruto shouted to stop. Copy. The monster repeated what he did before and had both staff and grips in both hands. He even copied our weapons. Connor said. That's cheating. Kira shouted. The monster charged the Rangers and struck them with their own weapons, knocking them down. Guys, you alright? Naruto along with Ethan ran and helped the two sit up. Yeah, just my pride. Connor said. He can copy our weapons, what else can he do? Kira questioned. Copy. The monster used its scanner gauntlet. Hi, I'm the Yellow Ranger, aren't I cute? It copied Kira's voice. Hey, my voice. Kira is shocked but at the same time angry. Ooh, that's cold. Ethan chuckled a little. That's fucked up. Naruto commented. Let's see if he can try this. He called upon his dragon dagger. Oh goody, a new toy for me to play with. Copy. He copied it into his hand. Naruto charged towards the enemy and locked blades with it as the two exchanged attacks, but being the expert with his weapon, had struck the monster a couple times. Copy this. He played the dagger, which sent green shurikens. Sure. Copy. Using the device, he began to play the same note, which sent out shurikens colliding against the other, leaving a blast of smoke covering the area. As the air cleared, the Rangers saw the monster nowhere on sight. Son of bitch, I let him get away. Naruto cursed himself for getting careless. Kira touched his shoulder in comfort. He couldn't get far. Come on, let's start looking, Connor said. The others agreed and started to look. The copy monster was alone in the city as it waited. Someone had then appeared out the shadows of an alley, revealing Psycho Green. Do you have it? Psycho questioned. It was too easy. The monster handed the copy dragon dagger. Excellent. Psycho Ranger took it as he examined the weapon. Now here's your reward. He showed his shadow sword. Oh goody, copy. The monster copied the sword. Remember, this is our little secret. With that said, the evil ranger vanished into the shadows. The team on cycles arrived outside of town near a farm. Signal says it's coming from here. Connor told them as they got off their vehicles. Then where is he? Kira asked the guys as they looked around, but not for long. Looking for me? The monster appeared behind them and they turned around. I was picking pepper. He began throwing green and red peppers that the team dodged as they exploded on contact. "We have to be careful, you guys, remember he can copy our weapons," Ethan reminded them. "Then how do we fight him if he knows what we'll do with our weapons?" Kira questioned. "I got it." Connor clapped his hands with a plan. "We close up the head of the Z-Rex blaster, he makes a copy. He fires it, and kaboom, he's done for." "Very sneaky, I like it." Ethan liking the plan as it was perfect along with Kira, but for Naruto it did sound like a great plan, but something was telling him that this monster was no idiot. "Are you done with your meeting over there?" the creature questioned while irritated. "Just a minute," Connor said and pulled his staff out while closing the mouth of the Tyranno's staff. The team put their weapons together. Z-Rex blaster. They steadied and aimed at the monster, who saw this and copied as the Z-Rex blaster appeared in his hands. Z-Rex blaster ready to go. "That's it," Connor muttered. "Oh wait, I almost forgot." He had opened the mouth of the copied Tyranno. "Shit, not good," Connor cursed. "Now ready, fire." He blasted at the team, who were sent flying into a nearby river. Naruto though still stood as he summoned his dagger and shielded himself barely. "Now it's just you and me, Green Ranger." The monster aimed to blast the ranger again, but Naruto vanished in a green flash and appeared above the copycat coming down with a dagger, but suddenly it too vanished, which shocked him. He can copy their power as well. He was baffled but quickly ignored it. Turning to the right, he barely dodged him before slashing the monster, stumbling back. "Where's your copying now?" he questioned as he then noticed the copied dagger was not with him. "I won't need to for this. Time to break this out." The monster had summoned out a familiar sword, making Naruto's eyes widen as he recognized the blade. "Where did you get that?" he demanded. "Oh, this, an old buddy of yours," the monster mocked. "Where is he?" Naruto questioned with anger. "You have to beat me first." The monster charged with his sword, clashing with Naruto's dagger. He held the dagger in an ice-pick grip and was slashing fast, pushing back the monster. He made the mistake of falling for a fake attack and paid for it as 2 slashes pushed him back. His body began to feel pain as a crackle of dark green lightning came off him. He fell to his knees. "What the hell?" he thought to himself. "Naruto, be careful. This sword reeks of evil. It's even somehow taken some of my chakra," Kurama warned the Shinobi Ranger. Naruto's eyes widened hearing this. So that's why Psycho Green had it with him. This was not good for him. Seems he is not only able to copy our weapons but our powers as well. He thought of an idea. Maybe it's time to change things up and show him some true Dino power. He stood back to his feet and put away the weapon. "Hey, copycat." Getting the monster's attention, his arms were in a X pattern. "Let's see how you handle against this." Super Dino mode. Golden spikes grew out the side of his arms, legs, knees and elbows. He went into his stance. "What the?" The copycat monster was surprised by this and realized this was something he couldn't copy at all. It charged with the copied shadow sword, but Naruto used his spikes to block it and slashed with his spikes to the copycat. He spun around, striking more of the monster using his elbows before finishing it off with a powerful punch that sent the monster crashing. Naruto landed on his feet and looked at the monster, who seemed weakened. "Time to finish you off." He was prepared to end this, but suddenly an energy rope caught his neck, choking him. Turning around, he saw Psycho Ranger with his dagger creating the energy. A portal was behind him. "You again?" Naruto snarled as he felt Kurama's chakra stir within him. "You and I have unfinished business," he said. Ami arrived in time to see Naruto being held captive by Psycho Green. "Naruto." He called and tried to catch him, but he was pulled into the portal. "No." Tommy tried to leap into the portal, but it vanished. He fell to his knees and on his hands. "Damn it." He punched the ground hard, which made a crack. Hearing the monster laugh, it only fueled his anger. He pulled out his Brachio staff. Brachio staff wind strike. He stabbed the weapon into the ground, which sent a powerful gust of wind that damaged the monster and sent him to the floor. "Where is Naruto?" he demanded. The monster was back to his feet. "Make me talk," it mocked. The Rangers saw Dr. O, but Naruto was nowhere to be found, which concerned the Yellow Terror Ranger. Ami charged to attack, which the monster wanted, and copied the weapon as it materialized in its hand. He used its own wind strike. The Ranger veteran was sent flying and crashed hard. His students had helped him back up. "Dr. O, you okay?" Ethan asked. "Yeah." Tommy said, back to his feet. "Where's Naruto?" Kira asked odd. Ami didn't say anything for a few seconds. He was taken by the Psycho Ranger. The team were shocked at this, but for Kira, she was horrified. She turned to face the monster. Anger blinded her vision as she charged with her terror grips, but the monster blocked it with a copied blade and slashed, which sent her flying, and the guys caught her, but she was hurt bad. "What did you do with Naruto?" she demanded to know. Though she was weakened, she could still glare with anger. "Your teammate is being occupied at this very moment." the monster said and created a wind strike from the staff which struck the whole team. Naruto fell through the air from the portal and managed to land on his feet. Looking at his surroundings he saw nothing but a huge grass field. He walked a few steps before stopping. Swiftly turning around he saw nothing. He could have sworn he sensed someone. He suddenly vanished as a blast had hit where he used to be. He appeared in a flash and saw Psycho Ranger, but he was not alone as a group of cyber pteranodrons stood behind. "Looks like you haven't lost your touch," Psycho said. "So much for one-on-one. What's wrong, you're not man enough to face me alone," Naruto said. He pressed a button on his morpher to send a signal to Tori to help her team. Psycho laughed at this. "Hey, I'm a bad guy, we don't play fair. Now then. Destroy him and bring his Dino Gem to me," he ordered the monsters, who gave a battle cry before attacking. Naruto took out his dragon dagger as he began to fight off the enemies. He slashed a couple before changing his style into an ice pick grip and slashed a few more. Seeing some pteranodrons with visors about to shoot, he played his dagger as an energy shield surrounded him and reflected the blasts, taking them out. Time to turn it up. Dragon sword. He summoned out his sword. He charged and slashed two, then stabbed the third one with the dagger which he left and attacked three more coming at him with his sword before pulling out the dagger from the pteranodron, dropping dead. He played his dagger which sent out energy shurikens to the horde, taking them out. He was hit by a blast in the back, knocking him down, and saw more pteranodrons. Damn it, they just keep coming. He got back to his feet with his blade still in hand. He charged towards the cyber pteranodrons, who continued to blast at him, but he deflected them with his blade and jumped high before coming down and slicing the two vertically in half. He blocked a right kick with his own as he lifted it, followed by a spinning back fist, but instead of a fist, it was the weapon handle knocking it down, and finished it with an axe kick straight down to the head into the ground. He was slashed by one of the enemy's bladed arm, stumbling backwards. He was hit by another, this time in the back, stumbling him forward. He was hit by 3 blasts, sending him rolling across the ground. He lost his blades, leaving him almost weaponless except for one. Velox talons. He summoned his talon blades. He didn't stop there. Super Dino mode. Spikes grew from his uniform. Then something happened that neither Naruto and Psycho expected. The talon weapons had materialized further, forming a gauntlet that traveled up to his forearm. His feet talons had changed to the same as well. "Okay, now this is pretty cool," he said, still surprised by this event. He stood across from the horde of pteranodrons. Grunts and growls could be heard coming from them. Neither had moved until one pteranodron did, and many had followed. Naruto charged directly at them. One went to slash Naruto, but he caught it and gave 3 fast punches to the body, breaking the bladed arm and giving a push kick. He spun around in time to dodge another bladed arm and give a back elbow, knocking it down. He caught another and gave an elbow to the face, followed by 3 hard knees to the body. Another enemy tried to come at him, but he caught the blade with his gauntlet and gave a low, medium and high triple kick, knocking it away. He started to slash with his spikes as he spun around, taking ones that were close to him out. He kicked the enemies in the body from left and right. He saw one in the air and decided to try something. He squatted down before jumping very high into the air and uppercutting the enemy far away. Naruto continued to evade them and retaliated with more kicks and punches. He leg swept an opponent off his feet and gave a downward elbow to the chest. He started to somersault backwards, creating distance, and flipped back up high upon landing on his feet and was in his stance. He can see half the hordes were taken out. Seeing Psycho not moving and just watching had irritated him, but he can't let that get to him. He charged again directly at the remaining enemies and continued his assault. He gave a back kick to one in the body, followed by an uppercut, knocking it down. He roundhouse kicked another in the head hard, breaking the neck. He turned quickly to stomp the head of the knockdown pteranodron, killing it. He caught a bladed arm and gave a punch to the enemy's face and 2 knees to its body. He connected a hard push kick, sending the enemy flying. He spun a roundhouse kick, taking out 2 enemies at the same time. A regular pteranodron tried to grab him from behind, but he back elbowed it hard to the body multiple times, forcing to let go. He grabbed a pteranodron from behind, throwing him up before throwing down a hammer punch to the body, sending the creature to the ground hard. He finished it off as he stomped the monster's head. Psycho had observed this newfound ability of his rival enemy. He did not expect this event to happen, but had to admit it was pretty impressive. Thought that won't help him for long. Thanks to the test guinea pig pteranodrons, he has now learned of this ability and will have to find a way to counter it. Unless. He crossed his arms and increased his energy, which resulted in the sky suddenly turning gray and the lightning struck around. The Rangers were having a very hard time with the copycat monster, who had been fighting with the copied shadow sword against. Even their weapons weren't as effective. Just as the monster was prepared to use another Brachio staff move, he was struck by a blast, knocking him to the ground. The team saw Tori had arrived on her custom cycle in her Dino form. "Lucky I came here in time," "You guys okay?" She rushed to help Tommy up as did the guys with Kira. "Yeah, good thing you showed up," Tommy said. "How did you know we were in trouble?" asked Connor. "Naruto sent a signal to my morpher, where is he?" the former Ninja Ranger asked. The boys didn't know how to tell her, but Tommy spoke. He was taken by the Psycho Ranger. Kira clenched her fist tight in anger at this, just thinking about the Psycho and what he could be doing to Naruto, which now worried her. Tori was shocked. Before she could ask anything else, everyone froze and felt something was wrong. They looked as the bright clear sky was now suddenly covered by gray clouds and lightning was striking in different places. "Something is definitely wrong," Ethan said. "Dr. O, what do you think is going on?" Connor asked his teacher. "I don't know. It can't be good though." Tommy sounded uneasy. Kira had a chill down her spine. An eerie feeling she had. Naruto. Tori could only pray that Naruto will be alright. Back to the fight, Naruto managed to get his blades and finished off the rest of the enemies. Seeing the environment change, he looked for the source and saw Psycho, who had a black aura and lightning crackling around him. He had a bad feeling about this. Psycho Ranger cried out as energy was released, creating a force that pushed the Shinobi Ranger back and covered his eyes. As it died down, he managed to finally look. "You can't be serious." Naruto was in disbelief at what he was seeing. The spikes on Psycho uniform grew from his shoulders down to the arms and legs and even the knuckles and heel. "Now this is what I call an upgrade." The evil ranger examined his newfound power. "Let's test this out." He disappeared in a black flash, making Naruto be on his guard. Suddenly he was slashed in the back by something and looked around, seeing nothing, but again it repeated 5 more times, knocking him down on his stomach. Pushing himself up, he saw Psycho, who laughed as he appeared in front of him. "What's wrong?" Not having fun, he mockingly questioned. Getting up to his feet, Naruto saw him disappear again in a flash. He couldn't let his anger get the best of him. He took a breath and closed his eyes, beginning to concentrate. After about 5 seconds, he brought his sword up to block an attack and retaliated with a slash of his own, stumbling his enemy. Putting his blades away, he leaped forward with his fist, beat back and threw it, which in turn was blocked, but the force behind it still sent Psycho skidding back on his feet. Both charged with their fist, beat back, hitting one another. The shockwave had spread throughout the field as wind blew through the grass. They broke off and began to exchange attacks while both on the offense and defense. Sparks of energy started to dance around them as their spikes clashed against one another. They vanished in a flash and appeared as they clashed again before disappearing once more. This was repeated all over the field as each attack created sparks. 5 minutes passes with neither ranger stopping their attacks. A spark had hit the grass, causing the field to slowly go up in flames. Both men appeared in the middle of the field as a blazing fire ring surrounded them. Neither had cared about what was going on around them at the moment. Naruto moved but suddenly fell to his knees and dropped out of his Super Dino mode and back to his regular form. "Damn it, not now," he said to himself. "Well, what do you know, looks like I won't have to try anymore." He charged, delivering a slash to Naruto, sending him back crashing to the ground. Jumping up high, he came back down and was close to stomping the ranger's head had he not rolled out the way. The ground cracked, creating a very large spider web on the ground. Naruto stood back up, summoning his weapons, and was on the defense as he was blocking the spikes, but each slash had a force pushing him back. He went on offense as he attacked with his sword and dagger. Or at least tried to, but Psycho was playing with him as he evaded the strikes. He struck punches to the body with his spiked knuckles multiple times and finished it with a straight punch to the chest, sending Naruto skidding across the ground. The blazing ring didn't help and made things difficult for the Shinobi Ranger. He got back up to his feet but didn't have time to even recover as Psycho appeared right in front of him and gave a knee to the gut, making him slightly hunch. The evil ranger sent an energy X-slash from his spikes which struck Naruto, and many sparks came off him, sending him crashing to the ground hard. Lightning crackled around the Shinobi Ranger, damaging him further, which was an effect from the Psycho Ranger's move. "Looks like the fun has to end. I was hoping you would do better than last time, oh well." Psycho had proceeded to walk towards Naruto with confidence as he was ready to end the Green Ranger's life. Naruto grits his teeth in frustration. He had no other choice but to use Kurama's chakra. His wounds had began to heal slowly, though he noticed something was wrong. "Naruto." Kurama spoke, "Whatever that guy did is somehow affecting my chakra. You notice your wounds aren't healing as fast as they usually do. Which means I can only assume your strength and speed is also affected." "Damn it, then this will barely do anything to him," Naruto cursed as there was nothing he had left that could help him. He suddenly remembered another weapon that could help him. The gold Zio staff. It was his only chance. The weapon appeared in his hand, which the Psycho didn't notice as he was bragging. "When I'm finished with you, your team will be next, then I'll keep Tori and Kira as my slaves," he said. This triggered something inside Naruto as a wave of anger had overcome him. He stood up while his body was shaking and his hand clenching the staff tight. Something inside wanted to be released, and now it was time to let it out. He threw his arm up holding the staff and screamed with rage. At that same moment a golden lightning struck the staff and everything was covered by a bright flash. A golden energy pillar shot high into the sky. The force had created a strong wind that not only pushed Psycho back, but also blew out the flames. A ray of light had broken though the dark grey clouds which started to disappear and the bright sun finally shone in the now clear blue sky. Psycho wondered what the hell that was until he saw Naruto holding the golden zero staff which extended and a blade on the bottom. But that was not the only thing that was different. Naruto's uniform had some accessories. Golden guards were now on his wrist along with armor on his shoulder and elbows that had a curved blade. The helmet around the visors had gold lines with ancient scriptures. A Dino Thunder symbol on the chest was glowing. Naruto felt tremendous strength coursing through his body. This power was he didn't have time to observe it as he had a fight to finish. Looking directly at the Psycho Ranger with a glare. The Ranger for the first time ever had flinched as if he saw the eyes that bore into. Where did this power come from suddenly? Naruto began to walk towards the evil Ranger with his staff ready in hand. Psycho had enough and summoned his shadow sword. He sent a large energy slash which carved a destruction path directly to Naruto. The transformed Shinobi Ranger didn't seem to panic as he kept walking even till the attack struck, exploding into smoke and sparks. Covering the air in debris and smoke. Psycho laughed at this. Even with a little costume change you still couldn't beat me. His laugh had paused as footsteps were heard. He looked and saw a figure walking which had blown away the smoke and debris. What, it can't be. Psycho looked in disbelief. Naruto was revealed and showed that he didn't have a single scratch on him from the blast and continued walking towards Psycho, who changed his attitude from disbelief to anger. He disappeared in a black flash and appeared right above Naruto with the shadow blade attempting to stab him, but it was blocked by the staff. Psycho changed his movement with slashes that Naruto began blocking and was attacking back with swings and spin strikes. Naruto did a double hand figure 8 spin, throwing the evil Ranger off until he was slashed him with a bladed part and a blast, knocking down the Psycho Ranger for the first time. He had gotten back up to his feet. This wasn't supposed to happen. How could he have gotten stronger? Naruto rushed towards the Ranger and began an assault that were becoming too fast for the Psycho Ranger to follow. He was taking every hit from the bladed side of the weapon, sending him crashing and rolling across the ground. Powering up his staff, the top symbol was glowing bright. With both hands he proceeded to stab the blade into the ground. The blast of golden energy tore through the ground towards Psycho, who didn't have enough time to flash away and was struck by the attack. Sparks came off him as he was severely damaged and fell to the ground, dropping out his Super Dino mode. Naruto was surprised that somehow the evil Ranger had survived the attack. Though it was only cause his Super Dino mode, this time it won't happen again. He was prepared to end this once and for all, but just before he could a lightning energy came at him that he absorbed with his staff. Turning to his attacker. It was none other than Elsa along with some pteranodrons. Sorry Green Ranger, but I'm afraid my master wants Psycho Ranger alive and well she smirked. Naruto quickly looked to see Psycho being carried away by some pteranodrons. He blasted at them, but it was too late as they vanished in the purple portal. Seeing this he saw nothing but red and snapped his head towards the bitch who was just laughing. He shot an energy attack which struck and knocked her down. Sitting up she held her stomach in pain. Bring me his head. She yelled at the pteranodrons who followed orders and attacked. Naruto charged directly towards them and jumped up high. He raised his staff and thrusted it, shooting an energy blast that took out almost all of them, shocking Elsa. Landing back down, he began taking out the remaining ones with his staff which he made look like child's play, and each of them were defeated. Elsa got up and disappeared into a portal to report to her master about this event. Naruto looked around and saw Elsa nowhere, which was no surprise to him. He looked at the staff, so this was the power of the Gold Zeo. As the weapon became normal again he dropped out his new form into his regular Dino form. He realized he still had to go back and help his team. He spoke into his morpher. Haley, Kim, it's me Naruto. Naruto, are you alright? Tommy said you were taken. Kim asked. I'm alright, I actually had fought off the Psycho Ranger. He took me somewhere far, can you reprogram my cycle to my location at turbo speed? Naruto said. You got it, you're lucky I was able to make some adjustments on yours. Haley joked as she typed in a few buttons. Naruto looked at the staff in his hand. Don't worry guys, I'm coming. In the woods. Honor and the team were knocked down, as had taken some heavy damage from the copied weapon, including having their own power used against them. How's the dirt taste? The copycat monster laughed at this. Why don't you find out? A voice called out and Naruto had burst into the scene with his cycle as he flew in the air and fired blasts from it hitting the monster dropping him. Making a U-turn he came to a stop right in front of the team. Looks like you guys could use some help. Naruto jokes. The team rushed to him and we're glad to see him back, getting pats and slaps on the back from both the guys and Tommy, putting his hand on top of his helmet shaking it as if he was ruffling his hair. The girl slammed into him with a hug almost knocking him over, but he regained his balance and gave the girls a hug back. Sorry but I'm going to have to end this lovely reunion. The copycat monster got back up. Naruto looked at the monster. Stand back guys, I got this. He told them. Wait, are you serious? You saw what it did to the rest of us, even Dr. O is having a tough time no offense Kira said and looked at Tommy who didn't mind. Kira's right, Naruto. This monster is no joke, it's gonna take all of us to beat him. Tori added. He summoned the gold Zeo staff. Trust me. He said now watch this you guys. He brought the staff close to him and crossed his arms into X pattern. He concentrated on what he felt before during his fight with Psycho Ranger, a golden bright aura surrounded the outline of his body as he felt its heat, but it never was harming him, throwing his arms down his armor appeared on his while his staff extended. This got a reaction from the team. Whoa amazed Connor. Wicked. Cheered Ethan. Amazing both girls were awed at this. Tommy was stunned by this. Now then. Time for round 2. Naruto charged towards the monster and engaged in combat with his extended staff. Using the bladed side he was pushing back. A blast from the weapon had taken the copycat off guard. Not done yet Naruto's blade glowed and he swung it downwards to which was blocked by the copy shadow sword however this was anticipated. A crack was heard from the sword's blade. It suddenly broke, destroying it and the monster was struck by the slash, making him roll across the floor. Time to finish this. He concentrated the energy into his staff and stabbed it into the ground, sending a powerful energy blast that tore through anything and hit its target. That is gold. He turned around with his staff and walked away from the monster who fell and exploded. The team were amazed at this newfound power of Naruto's. Humming up the guys congratulated him. Dude, that was kick-ass. Ethan complimented and gave Naruto a high five. You mopped the floor against that creep. Connor said. The girls smiled at this. The celebration would be cut short as the clouds darkened and rain fell which they knew was gonna happen. The copycat monster was now a giant. Copy this Rangers. Braccio. Tommy called for his Brachizard which had came and released the Ranger's Zords. Hum on you guys. Connor told the team who nodded and jumped into their Zords and formed their Thundersaurus Megazord. The copycat threw peppers, but they were blocked by Naruto's claw. Kira threw her Pterorang hitting the monster as he stumbled back. Let's see if this works. Copy. The monster had shockingly copied the Megazord as it stood beside him. That's not good. Ethan said. He can even copy Zords. Connor was shocked. What can this guy not copy? Kira was annoyed at this monster along with Naruto. The monster fired laser blasts from its eyes at the Megazord who was trying to block them. The copy Megazord charged with its claw and struck the Thundersaurus, causing it to take the laser blasts and fall. The team tried to get back up. Had enough. Taunted the monster but was struck by a laser blast. Another Megazord appeared in the battlefield which was Tori's. How about you try me? Tori said as she had her sword out. Gladly the monster charged while the copy Megazord followed. The team's Megazord had stood up. What do we do? That Megazord basically knows all our arsenal. How do we defeat something that knows our moves? This gave Naruto an idea and summoned his dragon dagger. We improvise. Awakened Dragonzord. He played the notes. The pair of glowing red eyes was seen under the ocean that soon bubbled. Rising up was the Dragonzord. It roared while swinging its drilling tip tail. Naruto directed the Zord to the battle and saw Tori being double-teamed. Missiles came out the fingers which shot both Copycat and his Zord. The Dragonzord helped up Tori's Megazord. The monster saw this. So you brung more friends, well two can play that game, or should I say 3, copy. The monster had copied and another Dragonzord appeared. Naruto. Kira was confused on why he did that, it may have made the situation worse. Haley it's Naruto, remember about my idea with the Dragonzord with the Thundersaurus? The team wondered what he was talking about. Yes I do, the program for it is almost finished, you just have to hold the monster and Zords off for 3 minutes. The Ranger's technologist said. We can do that. Naruto said as he and his team charged at the battlefield with the Megazord and slashed the copy Thundersaurus pushing it back. Tori was slicing the peppers that were thrown at her, but one had gone off exploding pushing her back. The two Dragonzords charged and slammed against one another, trying to push the other back for dominance. The real Dragonzord pushed back the duplicate and threw a punch knocking it back. It swung its tail but was caught with and spun around before being tossed into the monster knocking them down. The Dragonzord saw the Thundersaurus was having trouble with the copy and assisted by firing missiles at the duplicate, making it let go of the Megazord. It's all ready to go Naruto. Haley told him. Alright. Time to test this bad boy out, are you guys ready? He looked at the team who nodded. Alright then. Mega Dragon Thundersaurus power up. Naruto called out. Dino Thunder theme instrumental. The Dragonzord responded and disassembled with the head and shoulders, along with the arms coming off and combining on top of the Thundersaurus head and shoulders. Mega Dragon Thundersaurus online. The team exclaimed. The Megazord stood as an explosion went off behind it, showing its new firepower. The monster was taken back by this new development. It tried to go for a copy. Oh no you don't. Tori appeared from behind and sliced off the arm, making the monster cry out. Shoulder missiles, fire. Naruto called out as the shoulders on the Dragonzord opened and fired many missiles that struck the copied Mega and Dragon Zord, destroying them as they fell and exploded. The monster was now all alone. Oh. Ready? Naruto said to the team. The Megazord lifted its arms as its hand along with the Dragonzords formed an energy sphere that glowed and the Dino Thunder symbol was shown. Fire. They exclaimed as the energy was shot towards the monster who could do nothing as he was struck by the attack which created a powerful blast. The monster cried out in pain before falling and exploding into nothing. Score for the good guys. Naruto cheered. The Megazord along with Tori stood side by side. End theme. Dino headquarters. Wait, so you actually had tapped into the power of the Gold Zeo Ranger. Ethan said. Naruto had explained to the group of his battle against the Psycho Ranger, his newfound Super Dino mode power, and tapping into the Gold Ranger's power to defeat the evil Ranger. Not fully, I still have a long way to go as I just scratched the surface, but it was a big help against Psycho that's for sure. Naruto said. And definitely see why. Connor commented. Well thankfully you're okay. Kimberly sighed in relief. The girls can see Naruto was in his thoughts as they saw his expression. Is something wrong? Tori asked. Nothing, it's just this isn't the last I'll be hearing of him, he'll be back, I just don't know if he'll be stronger than before. Naruto admitted. Even if he does, then we'll face him together, remember what you said before. If we work as a team nothing can beat us. Kira squeezed his hand in comfort and reminded him of what he said when they were chosen to be Power Rangers. She's right Naruto, you're not doing this alone, we're all a team. Tori copying Kira as she held his other hand. Yeah dude, we'll always have your back. Ethan said. No matter what. Connor added. Kimberly, Tommy and Hailey nodded. Naruto looked at everyone. He couldn't help but see the images of his old friends. He slightly teared up at this but wiped his eyes. His expression told that he was determined with his team to stop Mesagog and the Psycho Ranger once and for all. Mesagog's Island. Psycho Ranger had recently recovered from his battle against the Dino Green Ranger. Mesagog was not pleased with this, but he could care less what that fossil thinks. Right now he was somewhere in a big facility as he was shown working on something. He was looking at a virtual screen that showed different schematics. On the table were tools and parts that had come from the destroyed copy of the Dragonzord, including the Dragon Dagger. Psycho had pressed a few more things, and once making the adjustments he waited for the results which soon became a success and showed. Silence hung in the air, until he started to chuckle softly which turned to laughter like a madman. His visor showed the reflection of the virtual result, which was something that would change the battle and destroy the Rangers for good. The black dragon that looked similar to the Dragonzord but menacingly had roared with power. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.